Shalom, I'm Jenny. Thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. I have great news. I am now Mexican. I got my residency card, and that's what today's video is all about, is the second part of getting your residency. If you haven't seen the first part yet, go ahead and pause this because you need to know those steps before watching this so that it makes sense. Two things before we jump into today's video, and I've said the first one before, is the only consistent thing about Mexico is inconsistency. The process for getting your residency changes frequently. I went to my appointment on June 8th, and I'm recording this as of July 1st, so always do your research, which kind of brings me to the next point. I worked with Dr. Gabrielle, whose information I will link in the description box below. And she has just been incredible to work with because she is there on the ground in Mexico, able to learn about these changes quickly and make sure you're not going there wasting your time. If it weren't for her, I don't know that the process would have gone as smoothly. Is it possible? Yes, but I was on a tight time frame. If you had an infinite amount of time to get this done, I would say do it yourself, but she was very reasonably priced, and I only had 3 weeks before I had to get back and take care of the dogs. So a big shout out to her for helping me, and I will mention her several times throughout today's video. So basically, at the end of part 1, that leaves you with the visa in the back of your passport. Once you have that at the Mexican consulate, the next part has to take place in Mexico. As we mentioned, the first part has to take place outside of Mexico. So once you have this in your passport, you have 180 days to get your pompis over to Mexico. You can fly, you can drive across the border, but either way, you need to be there before 180 days. And once you enter Mexico, you have 30 days to complete the second part of the process. One thing to know with this visa in your passport, if you're going through the airport that is you can now go to the line at immigration for Mexicans. That line is always shorter. As you may know, the international line is like 5 times as long and takes such a long time to get through, so this will save you a lot of time. I wasn't really positive since I didn't have the actual residency card yet, but the lady helping people navigate the line said I could go to the Mexican line. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Once I got to the front, I told the gentleman, hey, this is my first time entering as a resident. He was super friendly and actually happened to be from the state I'm moving to. Even though you're now a resident, you still need to get the FMM form that they usually give you on the airplane. If you drive across the border, be sure to stop at the immigration office right there on the border. Do not forget this. You need this to complete the second part of the process. So now we're going into more detail here. Keep in mind, this is the process I went through. It is always changing. It used to be that you would make an appointment online, and I will put that website below. That system is coming back. When? Who knows? It could be the day I post this video. Wouldn't surprise me. But since the system is currently down, at some immigration offices, they might have you come and give you an appointment to come back in a week or so. They might give you the appointment that day. It varies greatly by office, by day. So be prepared to not know what in the world is going on. For me, I just had to go to the office once. I went to the one in Mexico City. Of course, you're not going to come empty-handed. Here are the things that you're going to need. You'll need your passport with the visa in there, your FMM card that they gave you on the plane or that you stopped to get once you cross the border. There are 2 forms. One is called like basic form, and the other one is the National Institute of Immigration form. And Dr. Gabrielle had both of these forms filled out for me once I got there to save me a step. The basic information form is more about like personal details, like what are you going to be doing while you're in Mexico, Do you have any tattoos or scars that can identify you? And then the national, sorry, I'm translating it from Spanish to English, so it's a little backwards. The National Institute of Immigration form has more like your passport information, your birthday, and your pieza. Your pieza is like your identification number for the process. Dr. Gabrielle already had that for me once I arrived, and I, for the life of me, don't remember if they gave that to me at the first part of the process at the consulate, and I gave that to her to fill in, or if she got that number for me online, or if I got that number for her online. That's why I hired her, because she knows all of the details, and thank goodness I had her. Otherwise, like, it's not super complicated, but she definitely made the process a lot more smooth. I'll put the web address where you can find both of these forms in the description box below. And if there's a way to get your pieza number online, I'll put that below as well. Yeah, I forgot. I'm a horrible YouTuber. Like, I think I'm going to remember the steps long enough to make the video, and then by the time I sit down to record it, it's like, whoa, how did that go again? The other thing you need is proof of payment. Of course, this process is not free. Let me grab the handout. So in pesos, this costs 4,739 pesos. In dollars, it's about $230, $240. But you have to have the immigration's bank account information. You go to the bank, give them that account number, deposit the money to their account, and then they will have you check the information on a receipt, sign that the information is correct, and give you a receipt. So you'll want to take the receipt, all of your documents, including your passport and your visa, and make at least 2 photocopies of all of it. I know you need at least 2 photocopies of the bank receipt, so might as well make 2 copies of everything just to be safe, even though I think only 1 photocopy is actually necessary of everything, except for the bank, again, needs 2 photocopies. Where can you find the bank account information for immigration? That's, again, where Gabby made my life easier. Like, I don't think it's a top secret, because how else would you deposit the money without their bank account information? But I just don't feel comfortable like putting that on the screen or in the description box. So if I find a link to that, I'll put it there for you. If not, you can just go to immigration and get in like the general information line, and they can give you the sheet with that information on it. But Gabby saved the day. More on the payment later, because there's a little hiccup in my process. Nothing to do with Gabrielle, just everything to do with the immigration office. So you have all of the documents and your photocopies. What you want to do is wake up at the crack of dawn and go to immigration and wait in line by, I would say, 6 a.m. at the very latest. If I were you, I would take a buddy. The buddy cannot enter the office with you, but if you need to like step away and use the restroom or something, you want your buddy there to hold your spot in line. So basically, they have 2 batches of appointments, at least when I went. One for 9 o'clock and one for 11 o'clock. And at the 9 o'clock appointment, they let in about 20 to 25 people, and the 11 o'clock, another 20 to 25. So only maybe 40 to 50 appointments per day. That's why you want to be there early. Be sure to bring a drink and a snack, because you will be in that line and at the office for a very long time that day. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting in line. It varies by day, but maybe around 8 a.m. somebody will come out of the office and tell you what number you are in line. So once they fill up the 20 to 25 spots, they move that group over into a separate line and say, you're the 9 o'clock people. They count off another 20 to 25 people, say you're the 11 o'clock group. You can leave and come back when it's closer to time. Everybody else, so sorry. Since Gabrielle is awesome and got there like at 4 a.m., maybe shortly after, I was lucky enough to get a 9 o'clock slot. So I didn't have to like leave and come back. I just stayed there waiting in line. And then at 9 o'clock, they had all of us go inside of the office. It kind of reminded me of a bank. There were all kinds of what kind of looked like bank teller windows with numbers above each window. They had us sit in a section of chairs, and you can absolutely not have your cell phone out at all, so just know that going in. If somebody's trying to reach you, they're going to have to wait. Then they would call us one at a time in the order that we were seated. The weird thing was, once one person was called, they had us like scoot chairs. So person 1 went, so person 2 moved to their chair, person 3 moved to 2's chair, person 4 moved to 3's chair. Why? I don't know. It wasn't that like, okay, we have one person go up, so we're going to have one more person come into the building. No, because the 20 to 25 spots, that's all there was. Anyway, that's besides the point. So eventually it was my turn to go up to the window. It was kind of a lengthy process to wait. I would say everyone's little appointment for the first part of this appointment took about 15 to 20 minutes. When I got up to the window, I had all of my documents and photocopies, but I did not have the receipt for the bank because they started accepting credit cards now. So I said, I don't have my proof of payment yet because I'm just going to pay with a card. In good old Mexican fashion, that window didn't have a credit card reader. So I went back into the line. At least I didn't have to go to the end of the line. I just had to wait for like the teller. Teller's not the right word, but they reminded me of bank tellers. I had to wait for the window next door to be open. Then I said, hey, I was just over here at this window, but she doesn't have a credit card machine. I'm going to pay with a card. So they ran my card. Of course, in also Mexican fashion, the card reader was down. So do not count on that working. Just go to the bank as you used to have to do and save yourself the hassle. So once this happened, I was panicking a little bit because like it's such an important thing and I was on a time crunch. I didn't have, well, like if I would have had to stay in Mexico for 2 months, I would have made it happen, but like I really had to get back for the dogs. So I was panicking a little bit, but I left the office and I called Gabrielle real quick. Hey, this is what happened. I need to go to the bank. So of course she knew where the closest bank was. She already had the bank account information ready for me. She told me exactly what to do and expect. And luckily immigration said I could leave and come right back and have my spot in line, which kind of was true. Once I got back to the office, I couldn't just go back in. I had to wait for a lady to come out to the door and like verify that, yeah, it was okay for me to come back in. So eventually it was my turn at the window again. And basically you just stand there and wait. They look through your paperwork, they type some stuff into the computer, and then I got the impression like that the boss or the manager just has to give like the final approval. They make some photocopies and then finally they say, hey, you've been officially approved. And then you go to a second line. The second line is for your CURP. Your CURP is kind of like an identification number. And basically, you just wait for a few minutes there, and the lady prints off your CURP number on a piece of paper. So when you go to the final line, they know that that is your identification number to put on your actual residency card. So after I received that, I went to the third and final line, which in Mexico City was on the top floor. In the third and final line, this is where they actually take your picture and print off your residency card. There is a front and a back to it. My picture is beyond horrible. It's okay. I know I don't look like that. I hope not in person, but yeah. And then she reads your CURP number very slowly to make sure she didn't make any typos, or he or she. It's an alphanumeric number and it is quite long, so just make sure you're paying close attention as she reads that to you. So yeah, that's what to expect when you're in the immigration office. The other thing you need to know, and this is super important, put your phone down, listen carefully, you have to provide a Mexican address on this immigration form. It doesn't have to be your real address. Like, you could use an Airbnb address if you had to, but the address you're using dictates which office you have to go to. So I used my ex-husband's cousin's address, which is in Mexico City, which is why I went to the immigration office in Mexico City. Well, actually, mostly I went to Mexico City because that's where Dr. Gabrielle works. So I just found an address of someone I knew there. A lady that was in line with me used an address from Mexico State. So she was supposed to have gone to Toluca, not Mexico City. So she had a little incident she had to fix there on the spot as well. So just know you have to go to the immigration office that corresponds with the address you're going to provide with them. And if you do change address or name or careers, and there's a few other things, you do have to report that to immigration. So at this point, congratulations, you are a Mexican resident, in my case, a temporary resident. The temporary residency card is good for 4 but 1 years. At first, it's only good for 1 year, and you have to go renew it. After that, it's good for another 3 years, which brings you to 4 years total. After 4 years, then you're eligible to apply to become a permanent resident. Doesn't mean you're going to be approved, but you're qualified to at least apply, okay? So you can now live in Mexico as long as you want. There is no minimum requirement as of today that you have to be in Mexico so many days a year. I was just there for 3 weeks total to get my residency card and deal with other things, and I came right back to the States. I'm not going back until a year from now. The primary reason I am not staying at this point is because my house is not built, and I can't afford to stay at an Airbnb or a hotel for however long it takes them to build it. The last thing that you need to know is if you leave the country, now that you're a resident, once you pass through security at the airport or once you drive to the border, you need to go to the immigration office or desk. At the airport, it's just a desk once you pass security. And just like you have the FMM form when you come into the country, when you leave as a resident, they're going to give you one to exit, to save, and then present again once you return to the country. So they're going to keep the bottom half and give you the top half. So yeah, it's not really a difficult process, especially if you speak Spanish, because all of the forms are in Spanish. If you don't, Dr. Gabrielle can help you with that. It can just be a time-consuming or stressful process depending on your personality and how much time you have to work with. The last thing I want to leave you with today is now that you're a resident, you can get an RFC. The RFC is another type of identification number that's more similar to the Social Security number, but I will link a YouTube video by Kuru Paul from 2 Expats in Mexico, I believe his channel is called, and he can tell you about how to get your RFC. You do need this to do lots of things in Mexico, such as get your utilities set up. So again, check out his video so you know how to get that important number, again called an RFC. Thank you so much for watching. If you're going through this process, I wish you the best. If you've just completed it, congratulations. If you would like to continue in following me in my journey in moving from the US to Mexico, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Gracias, and take care.